I guess the question you can always ask is, where do we go from here? Obviously, I think that there's a lot of things that we can improve on as a team based on whatever our team standard is, what we want the standard to be in terms of how we approach things and what we do. We probably didn't run the ball as efficiently and effectively as we'd like to or need to. We made some explosive plays. Defensively, we did a good job against a really good passing team. But still, we have plenty to improve on defensively. I think that we got to continue to trust in our players and develop things that the players that we have can do the best so that we can be very productive on both sides of the ball and in the kicking game. So those are things that we're going to continue to work on. And, we had some outstanding performances in this last game. Trent Richardson, Frost of the Week, offensively, he and Marquise Mays, who not only did a good job making an outstanding big play, which everybody saw, but the guy plays with a lot of toughness and blocked really well and played well on special teams. Defensively, Rowe did a good job of orchestrating the defense, making the calls and the checks, but had a lot of production points. And Hobby, who was honorable mention in the SEC for Defensive Player of the Week, also had an outstanding game with some tackles for losses and sacks and those types of things. And Chris Rogers and Tyrone King and Lorenzo Washington, who blocked the punt, really when we're in punt safe, all did a really good job on special teams. And I thought we made some improvement in special teams. I think penalties really hurt us in special teams, probably took 70 or 80 yards of field position out of it, and we want to play penalty free in special teams. Obviously, yesterday we confirmed the injury of Dante Hightower was ligament damage in his knee, which will require surgery, which will, put him out for probably 3 or 4 months, which is a season-ending injury. Dante's a fine player, outstanding, does a lot of things in a lot of ways, but he's a good person and a good leader. And I think for the players that are here now, we can't respond to the loss, even though our thoughts and prayers are with him and in supporting and helping him. But we've got to respond to the new situation and the challenges that we have and the opportunity that it creates for somebody else, to go in and take advantage of reacting to what has happened. And we need to redefine who we are and individually and collectively so that we can get that done. We got the information late last week, I think Friday night actually, that Darrell Harris will be reinstated after 6 games. I think you might have had that information as well. Kentucky is our first, road game, although one of the reasons to play a game like Virginia Tech is to prepare your team to go on the road and play. It's not like playing at home. So this will be a challenge for us. All SEC games are difficult. Playing on the road in the SEC is always difficult. And, Kentucky has a very good program. Rich Brooks has done an outstanding job there, winning 23 games in the last 3 years and going to 3 straight bowl games. And, the quarterback's back and certainly shows a lot of improvement. They've got good runners. Derek Locke is a great athlete, good runner, also a great kickoff return guy. Defensively, they play very, very good on defense. They've got really good inside backer and really great corner, probably 2 guys that are as good as players as anybody in the country. They certainly gave us issues last year in terms of moving the ball and scoring points, even though we had lots of penalties in the game and didn't finish some things. They really played well. They're very well coached on special teams, very sound in what they do. So this is going to be a very challenging game for us in all phases of the game. And this is probably the best team we've played so far in terms of just running the ball. 2 back runs, regular runs, fullback lead plays, power plays, that kind of. We expected it some from Virginia Tech. We didn't get a lot of it, but I'm sure we'll get it in this game, and that'll be a challenge for our players as well.
Coach Saban, I have a two-part question. First, now that Jarrell's situation has been defined for you, do you change what he does in practice, and has he shown enough through the first 4 weeks of practice, or at least since August, that he could be a factor in some of the things that you'll do to make up for Dante's absence?
Well, but we can't really do that for 2 more games. So, and he certainly showed he was the backup at this position and at money, which is what Dante played. So he's a guy that's certainly going to be one of the guys that will be competing to take his place. But we have to get guys ready to play games every week. And we can't be worried about a game 3 weeks from now because we play the games 1 game at a time. So we can't take reps away from a young player who needs reps to play the position and play well in this game to get him ready for some game. South Carolina, I guess, is the first game he can come back. So, you know, we try to do some things with him in practice individually so he can continue to develop. He did an outstanding job in fall camp. We thought he was a guy that was a potential starter that could play winning football for us. But he has not gotten the reps in practice in the last 4 weeks because of us not knowing when he would return. But it would be a plan for us to wean him back into it gradually so, you know, he's ready to go when time comes without sort of robbing Peter to pay Paul and not having somebody else ready to play in the next 2 weeks.
Thanks, Coach. And also, just about the run blocking of the offensive line, were there situations last Saturday where there was just one more guy in the box than they could really block, or how did you feel like the run blocking went?
Well, I think that, you know, there were times when we had a hat on a hat and we just didn't finish the blocks. And there were some other times when we made some mental errors as to who we were supposed to block. And there were times when we didn't play with enough power. And they certainly, you know, had enough guys in there to stop the run all the time. And that put a lot of pressure on their secondary, and we took advantage of that on a few occasions. But when people choose us to play that way, that's when we need to be aggressive and trust in the players and not allow people to play us that way. But we're certainly capable of playing better than what we played, finishing blocks better, making less mental errors, and getting a little better execution, regardless of what they did.
Coach, Tim Tebow gets a lot of credit for the way he positively affects his team and gets them fired up. Greg, after the game, said that he had sort of got in front of the offense and challenged them a little bit. I'm not asking you to compare the two, but does he have some of those same type Tebow qualities that maybe doesn't get the when the cameras are on him and the publicity for it?
Well, I really don't. You know, I can't make a comparison between one of our players and Tim Tebow, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for as a competitor and a leader, because I've never been around the guy enough to know exactly what he does, other than what I see, which is the same thing you see. But I think Greg's well respected by his teammates. He is a good leader. He's very positive and supportive. I think he's well liked, and I think he does do a good job of affecting a lot of players on our team in a positive way, which is what you want leadership to do. You know, leadership is diffuse the negatives and reinforce the positive principles and values of the organization, the program, and your unit. So, and Greg does a good job of that.
Coach, can you talk about a little bit about the combination of having one of the better punters in the SEC and the best punt returner field position-wise and how that affects the game?
Well, you know, I've often said that, you know, when you accumulate 100 yards of field position, no matter how you get it, it usually equates into 6 points. And obviously when, you know, we have 100 yards in punt returns and our net punt is minimized because of good punting and good coverage and good protection. I think, you know, PJ's only really had one not-so-good punt all year, and that was in the last game, the first one. But other than that, you know, he's been really consistent, and we've had good coverage, and our net punt has been an advantage for us relative to how we've been able to return the ball on other people and how that changes field position. And, you know, in the last game, we negated 60, 70, 80 yards of returns by penalties. And whether they were good penalties or bad penalties, they were still penalties that got called, and we lost a lot of field position because of that, even though we were still successful in averaging over a first down on punt returns.
Coach, an unprecedented amount of teams have fallen in the first 4 weeks in the top 25, which has thrust Alabama up in the national spotlight as well as your play and the team's play. Talk about the statement by a lot of people that Alabama has its destiny in its own hands, and kind of where you feel this team is at compared to maybe your expectations before the season.
Well, I think everybody has their destiny in their own hands. Everybody in this room has it. I have it. Our players on our team has it. It's what you do with it. And obviously, there's a little part of human nature, the human condition or whatever, that can make it difficult to overcome adversity, but it also can make it very difficult to deal with success. And you got to have special type competitors who are never satisfied and always want to be better and do better, and they're not satisfied to win by 2 shots if they could have won by 7, and they're not satisfied to come in second if they could have come in first. And that burning desire to accomplish something, the passion that you have to do it is, and you got to do it on a consistent basis, not we're really ready to play this game and we're not ready to play the next game. And by the same token, you know, as coaches and as players, you can't become risk aversive, and you got to be aggressive, and you got to have an aggressive mindset and think that, oh, I don't want to mess up, so I'm going to play to keep from getting beat here. And then the next thing you know, the other team's more aggressive, and you're not playing your game and not doing the things that you need to do. And, you know, that's something that we certainly always try to guard against by being aggressive in how we approach things. But I think consistency and performance define success. And some people, it's a challenge for all of us, you know, to be able to find that consistency and not be relieved when we have a little success or win a game, and then we're up and down and not playing with the same type of consistency. And, you know, that's who you are. And you never know that until you do it and you go through it and you hit every circumstance that you can hit, up and down, and see how you respond to it. So I think your question is true of all of us. So it's just like what I said, you know, how we respond to every new situation will determine how much success we'll be able to have long term.
Nick, you praised Kirby Smart after the game on Saturday. He's been on your staff 3 different places. What exactly does he contribute to your team here?
Well, first of all, most of the guys that have been on my staff 3 different places have gone, you know, way overboard in terms of their loyalty and wanting to stay, because I'm supposed to be really hard to work for. So just on that, you know, I'm really thankful that Kirby sticks around. But, you know, Kirby has done a really good job. We hired Kirby at LSU when he had just coached maybe a year or something at Valdosta State and was actually a GA at Florida State. But he has done a really good job, and he's a hard worker, certainly understands our system and can apply it in the game, which I think is the part of it that a lot of people really overlook. You know, you can know a system and you can understand it and you can teach it, but there is a whole nother level to be able to go in the game and apply it where it's effective. And you know, he's been around, and he does a really good job of that, and I think it shows in how we play on the field.
Also on McElroy, if he continues to post the numbers he's been posting, his name's going to start coming up more in the Heisman talk. Is it preposterous?
Well, I haven't seen him out there playing and posting any of these numbers, so I think the players post numbers. I think he does a good job of coaching the players. He does a good job of putting our whole offensive staff, including Mac, who's the leader of that group, do a good job. And, you know, look, I want our coaches to have success. I want to help them be successful. And that's why they're assistant coaches. That's why they want to be coordinators. And when they do well, and I can say this about both of our guys want to win. All right, they don't care about the numbers. They're not worried about the stats. They're not worried about where they're ranked, because winning is what helps you get to the next place. You get hired because you had a successful team, and the team won, and that you played winning football, not that you posted the biggest numbers. Either way, either side of the ball. I talked to the players about this, and, I see that as self-indulgent behavior, and that's not something that we want in our organization, and it's not something that we have. So our guys are really good team guys. They're team first. They want to do what we need to do to win, and Mac's great about that. And he has done a really good job, and we have been successful on offense so far this year, but we have room to improve as a team in every area of our team.
Is it out of the question to see the school put together a Heisman marketing campaign?
I'm not concerned about that. Talk to this guy over here. That's what he gets paid for. For who are you talking about? For Mac or? Oh, well, I never thought about it. I don't think about things like that, but I'm kind of worried about playing well in this game. And, to me, if you play well and you win, those kind of things seem to take care of themselves. So, and I know that, in this day and age, we're all concerned about how we market things and ourselves, but we're concerned about how well we do as a team, and I know Mac is as well, and I know Greg is. And I know everybody in the organization wants to do what we need to do to have success as a team. I don't think that, there's anything that you remember more. I can't tell you how many yards I passed for when I was a senior in high school, or a junior, or a sophomore. I can't tell you where we ranked in the